Lovelies, it's somebody's birthday today. Let's do something special for them. Let's make an orange cream cake with vanilla cream cheese frosting. Now I know baking a cake from scratch can be intimidating, but let's look at this as a labor of love. We want to start easy and simple. Butter and sugar, cream till it's nice and fluffy. My butter is at room temperature, so we're going to drop this in. Alright, perfect. And I have some granulated sugar. The butter is room temperature, so if you know you're planning to bake a cake, you take the butter out maybe the night before, the morning if you're doing it in the evening, just so that it gets to that temperature that we want. Alright, so this is the first part. Now of course if you don't have a standing mixer and you have a hand mixer, that works really well. I doubt anybody's doing it the way we used to do it a long time with the spoon and the big silver bowl, but if that's your method, then even better, because then you know we're doing this with love. So we're going to cream this until it's nice and smooth and fluffy. Okay, nice and fluffy is what we were looking for. The sugar is melted and creamed into the butter. So now we're going to set this aside and get our eggs ready. So just like your butter being at room temperature, we also want our eggs at room temperature. So take those two ingredients out ahead of time. Very important, you don't know which eggs are good and which eggs are bad, and of course there are many ways to test this, but just to be sure, you want to crack your eggs into a bowl before you put it into your main bowl for mixing. So we're going to crack 3 eggs. Make sure that there are no shells, and if you do get a little shell in there, just wet your fingertip and it comes out really easily. There you go. And 3 perfect eggs. All right. Now, this is what is a little different about this orange cream cake. I didn't have any orange zest right now, so a good substitute that I found was apple cider vinegar. So we're gonna add this to our eggs. And of course, this is cake. We want nice fluffy eggs to go into our batter. So we're just gonna whisk up our eggs. Okay. Key thing when doing the eggs, make sure you get that nice froth on the top of the entire surface of the eggs. All right, so from here we're gonna add the wet parts, orange juice, because of course it's orange cake. You can use store-bought or fresh squeeze, that will be fine. And I have here another special ingredient, some orange liqueur, any brand of your choice. All right, and finally, our eggs. Make sure and get the fluff in. Ooh, perfect. We're gonna just mix this on low for 2 to 3 minutes. Of course, to get nice fluffy cake, we need to sift our flour. So let's go. I'm going to sift my flour a little at a time. Half of the measurement along with some baking powder. Sift our dry ingredients together. This makes the cake nice and light and fluffy. And while you do this, think about your friend that you're making this cake for, how much you love them, and how much of the cake you are actually going to get when they cut it. All right, so we can do the rest of this. Half and half. I'm almost certain we have all of these ingredients available in our kitchen already, so it's not going to be too much trouble. I think if there's a lot of traffic where you live, this might be easier than going to the mall and getting a gift. So definitely consider this as your next birthday present. Okay, all done. Now we just need to add our dry ingredients to our moist ingredients. easy. Right, perfect. Last step here would be to mix this on a medium speed until everything is combined. Make sure you use a spatula to scrape down the sides of the bowl so you get all of your cake batter together. Okay, so I have two 8-inch pans that I have lined with wax paper and greased with some butter. Now my trick for greasing pans is simple. I just keep a tiny pot with some butter and I just warm it up till it's nice and melted, and I have a little brush inside. I keep this on hand all the time for doing anything that requires spreading butter. All right, so my pans are ready, and I use a large ice cream scoop to keep the measurement equal on the 2 layers of the cake, because you know this is a fancy birthday cake. It's going to be 2 layers. So I just do nice generous scoops, and I scoop to the middle of the pan, one each, like this. So that way it's divided nice and even. Perfect. All right. So that's it for the scoop part, and then the rest we just use a spatula and average that piece in. All right. All our batter is in. We just kind of push to the side and be very nice and gentle with this, guys. You want your cake to be nice and fluffy. Don't rough it up. Right, and just to make sure that it's nice and level, both of them. Push to the sides. Perfect. A spatula is a very important tool when you're in the kitchen, in my opinion, because it's not only for making cakes and stuff like that, it's also, you can use it to scrape bowls from all their sauces and things like that. So a spatula is really nice to have. So we tap just to make sure all the air bubbles come out. 300 degrees is the temperature for the oven, and we're going to bake these up until when you poke it in the middle, it comes out clean. While the cake is in the oven, we can get our vanilla cream cheese frosting ready. So let's start with the first part of the vanilla. I have some vanilla powdered milk. Now this is where you can really make this recipe your own, any flavor you want. I just like vanilla, so I chose vanilla. And I'm going to dissolve this into a little paste with just a touch of warm water. This is just going to give my frosting just a little extra vanilla feel to it. All right. Just simple like this. Mix everything together. It's perfect. Good. I'm going to set this aside to cool. And while that is cooling, I'm going to go in with my cream cheese and my butter. It's perfect. And I'm going to mix this until it's completely, looks like one ingredient, nice and fluffy. So you're going to mix this for about 5 minutes. Okay, so our cream cheese and butter is completely combined. Just a little trick when you're using a hand mixer and you want to take it out of the mix and you don't want a lot to stay here, you just kind of raise it up gently and cut it off quickly. So gently and quickly, all right? So now I'm going to add my vanilla milk mixture to our creaminess. And then I'm going to do some vanilla extract, or vanilla essence would work fine. Go. Gonna give this a quick mix. Right. Now I have sifted my icing sugar. We say icing, but it's really icing sugar. I've sifted it because sometimes there's a lot of little lumps in there and I wanted my cream cheese frosting to be really smooth. So little at a time. And this is a very powdery experience, okay? So be careful. And I stir like this first, because if you just switch on your mixer, just so it's going to poof, and you'll be covered in powdered sugar. So we mix a little bit like this, and then I turn on my mixer. So I'm going to go ahead and do this little at a time until my cream cheese frosting is completely all together, fluffy and nice. Okay, so our cake smelling up the whole kitchen. We put it to cool on some cooling racks, and you have to wait until the cake is completely cooled. We have our vanilla cream cheese frosting, nice, light, fluffy. Now we assemble the cake. This is a very simple assembly process. We're not going to get too fancy or too ambitious today. We're just going to keep it nice and simple. So I have just a plain flat plate, and I'm using a little fancy turntable, but I put the cloth here to make sure that it doesn't slide when we're doing our thing here. So I just want to do a little scallop of frosting, and this will help to stabilize the first layer of cake. Now, you want to make sure that our cake doesn't lean to one side. So sometimes when you bake, one side is higher than one. You can simply just take your knife and just do a little average here and cut straight across. This also makes the sandwiching of the cakes really nice as well. And for the beggars in the kitchen, they can have this. All right, so we're going to put down our first layer. Take off our paper. And then bake the side down, nice and even. All right, then we're just going to do a little bit of frosting in the middle, so it's going to be a 2-layer something, and you can determine how much cream you want in the middle of your cake. Using a small spatula, I'm just going to spread it to the edge. There we go. We need a little more. All right, that is good for me. Second layer, basically the same thing. What's important to remember is that the side that you're cutting is going to face each other. Okay, so that gives the cake a really nice structure. So I'm going to cut my other side. And don't be too hard on yourself if you don't get it right the first time. It does take some practice, but continue cooking with me. You'll have all the practice you need. All right, and then we flip. And when you're doing things like flipping the cake, be confident. If you're a little shaky, the cake might shake too, so be confident. And we take our paper off. Perfect. Now, at this point, you get to decide if you want what we call like a naked cake, which is where you just barely put the cream cheese around it and you can still see parts of the cake itself. Or you can completely cover the entire thing. It's totally up to you. So this is how I do this. So I use a small spatula, and just on the sides, I put a big amount, little lumps like this. So I do about 3, and then I pull across. Simple like this. Right? This is not like a professional technique. It's just, we just home and we're making something thoughtful. And as time goes on and you practice a little more, you'll be able to get better at this. Okay, so once we get our sides covered, you just want to gently pull all your icing, make sure it's nice and even. All right, now we're going to do the top. So with the top, I kind of put all in the middle like this. Now, I want to share this with you. It's very easy to get carried away in baking tools. I would know. You get into baking, you think you need every spatula in every color, but let's just go a little slow. With my guidance, you wouldn't have an overcrowded kitchen with things. So, I have a small one, and I have a big one. And really, I promise you, for just home baking, this is all you really need, right? So I have my big one, and I have my frosting in the middle, and I go from the middle, and I turn. A little turntable is nice as well if you're doing cakes often, but you really can just put the cake on a smooth counter and turn it. You know, make small investments in your kitchen and you'll get through. right? And we go around like this. When you need a little more, you put a little more. It's easy to add than to take away, right? Right. Now once you get all to the edges, this is a very simple top. I'm not going to decorate anything today, but if you do want to see me decorate some stuff, let me know in the comments. Alright, so once your frosting gets to the end, and it's the end and it just goes just about a little 1/4 inch over, because we're going to seal the edges, right? So everything gets to the end. Then we go up like this and just gentle close it off like this and square it off. And like I said, you can go ahead and cover the exposed parts. I like the little exposure because I don't like a whole lot of cream cheese, but let me tell you, it's completely up to you. Now, I want a little fancy on the top, so I'm going to take my small one and just go side to side, swish like this, da 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 da. And there we go. You clean up the edges. And this is our orange cream cake with vanilla cream cheese frosting. Chill this in the refrigerator for a couple minutes and it's ready to serve. Well, my lovelies, there is nothing more thoughtful than a cake made from scratch from you to your loved ones for a birthday or any special occasion. So I really hope you get a chance to use this recipe. Let's see what it looks like inside. Oh boy, look at that. Nice and fluffy inside. Not too sweet, not too orangey. The perfect balance of citrus in our orange cream cake. The perfect amount of sweetness in our vanilla buttercream cream cheese frosting. What can I say? Try the recipe, tag me in your videos and your pictures. Please like, follow, and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We have our website with the details of the recipe. Of course, Instagram and TikTok. My lovelies, whatever you make this cake to celebrate, I hope you and your family enjoy it. Thank you. Bye.